Please welcome back the writer-director of Castle on the Ground, Joey Klein.
Could we bring out the cast as well, please? Emmy, Alex, Neve, Star, Kier, whoever is back there. Yeah, could you guys come up? Thanks. I'm sorry, I should probably do it one at a time. I'm sorry. Neve, can you come out? This is a weird thing.
Woo!
Emmy, are you back there?
Woo! Woo, woo. Just on?
Star, are you back there? I really don't know who's back. Yeah. Come on out.
Yes.
And Kier?
Joey, I'll start off with the first question, and then we can throw it to the audience. I mean, I think it goes without saying that this is a very emotionally powerful story, and you really took a humanistic approach to this. And I'm wondering if you can talk about your motivation to tackle this content, but also in the way that you approached it. And I'm wondering if you can talk to us about your development here.
I started writing something about a boy and his mom, just for personal reasons. You know, I've got great folks and I'm close with them, and we all have our own stories. I was very influenced by James White, which I fucking love. Really love that film, and just, I mean, shit, man, everybody should see that film. Fuck, pardon my language, but that definitely influenced me back in 2015. I think I saw it, and then I just have a background knowing some things about this for various reasons, and just took my time and did a lot of research. I came up as an actor, so I tend to be a lot more interested in character-driven stories, and got to do a lot of work and research with my dad, who worked with people suffering from addiction, and then got to know these folks, and it found its shape that way.
It's such an impressive international cast. I'm wondering if we could hear a little bit from the actors here. What drew you to the project and your experience working with Joey and shooting this up in Sudbury?
Well, I just want to say you did such a good job, Joey. I just watching it, I'm so proud to be a part of this movie. The feel-good comedy of the summer. But I read the script and was like shell-shocked by the script and was like, what crazy mind did this come from? And then I FaceTimed with Joey at a Starbucks in LA, and we FaceTimed, and he just had this like really fun warmth to him, and I thought that the juxtaposition of those two things would make this movie a real loaded journey for someone like me. And I found in the character of Henry like this really interesting take on someone becoming an addict, where it doesn't feel like they're making decisions for themselves, instead following this sort of kid-like id or something, and following it down to this really horrifying and just upsetting path in a really sweet and vulnerable and open way. And I hadn't really seen something like that, but I'd seen it a million times in real life. And I have 3 friends who OD'd and luckily survived from opiates, and it was kind of I don't know, it just felt kind of apropos for where the world's at and where I was at. So it felt like a perfect fit. And then obviously Imogen was attached to it, and I'd seen her in a million movies and been a big fan. And so that was attractive. And then Neve got hired while I was in Canada. I remember you and I were at some party with the crew, and he walked up and he was like, "We're getting Neve Campbell." And I was like, "Let's go." And we were really excited. And Kier's amazing, and everybody's amazing. And so that's the reason I did it. And because he's so handsome, he's a good-looking guy.
Neve, Imogen, could we, go ahead.
I was just, I thought the script was brilliant. Is this working? Yeah. And the subject matter, obviously, incredibly touching and important right now. And I just thought that the way that Joey created the characters and wrote this sort of beautiful slide into addiction that can happen to anybody very easily, tragically. It was a really important story to tell. So, yeah, and then I watched Joey's movie, The Other Half, and I call my reps, and I'm like, I'm doing that movie. I don't care what you say, because he's brilliant. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much to second what Neve just said, it really the idea that this can happen to anyone was really outrageous, and learning about this pandemic in Canada and the crisis, opioid crisis, and really educating myself on that, and conversations with Joey. On the page, the story was so vibrant, and the characters are all there and really developed. And the dynamic was so strange and full of conflict and full of fun despite the circumstances, and all of that was really interesting. But mainly I was just so struck by how this really can happen to anyone, and as we got going with the film and researching, we were able to sit down and talk to people based in Sudbury, who are regulars at the meth clinics or were recovering addicts, and yeah, it was a fascinating and heartbreaking world to sort of be witness to.
And I was in it.
And Alex Wolff was in it. Exactly.
Do you both want to share, your motivations to be involved with the project? Talk.
I joined a little bit later, the team a little bit later, near kind of the end. And I met Joey through one of our close friends, and I felt that this was truthful and important, and I'm familiar with addiction, so I was really grateful to be a part of this and to meet all these wonderful people. So, yeah.
I met Joey like years ago through our mutual agent, Amanda Rosenthal. And she was like, oh, you guys would get along. And so we met like years ago, and then there were multiple projects possibly floating around, and then I finally got one in my inbox. It was like, Joey's doing a movie, and I love the content, and I like stuff that's real and hard to watch, and, yeah, again, I think a lot of people in this audience probably have had friends like fall into addiction, and it's cool to see it represented, and it's hard to watch, but I'm stoked this movie exists, and yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah. Joey, there's a really distinct visual style that you've created here, particularly in your compositions, and you're working with one of our country's most talented cinematographers, Bobby Shore. I'm wondering if you can talk about that collaboration and some of the decisions, creative, that you made here.
I mean, I'm privileged. He's one of my best friends, so we don't really, punch a clock, which is, very special. Like, we start talking about it whenever we feel like it. I don't know, man. There's a couple people. I mean, you learn from everyone you work with, and it's a beautiful thing. But he shot everything I've ever done. He's an insane artist. I mean, he's going off and doing these huge films, and then coming to these small films and having these delicate, quiet little ideas that are so correct. And so we just geek out together, and I used to not know anything really, like, so I'd kind of just like, I don't know, probably rely on him too much, and then you kind of just get more time to watch things. I mean, I think really making films is mostly about watching films and learning what you hate and learning what you love. So we just gotten in tune with one another, I think, and I just drive him what he puts down. Like the scene where Neve gets back into the car after she goes to the hospital, I had this intellectual idea, like everything that's coming up he's not ready for, and so I thought we could put the camera in the car and just be facing through the windshield, basically be like almost like a cheat of his POV, and then see her coming through the rear view mirror, and this idea of being like, he's not ready for what's coming. And Bobby's always very polite, very nice. If, maybe he's got an idea that, to be honest, is better, he's like, yeah, man, that's cool. But, and then, he's a prince to work with. But he had this beautiful idea. And it's funny because I only want to leave people the feeling. I ain't thinking about an idea, but my idea was actually intellectual. And his idea was just purely emotional. And it was just, if we have this slow pan to her, it says everything. And that's one of my absolute favorite moments in the film. And it's just a really sensitive artist being in tune to the material and always just giving it. So we just kind of geek out and kind of riff off each other and get excited. And when you're like you say to Bobby, like, what do you think about this? And he'll be like, yeah, that's cool, man, that's cool. But then you have another idea. It's like, oh man, that's so fucking amazing. Like, we got to do that. You're in a good place. And that's truly how we work.
Right.
I love you, Joe. Hey, Bobby.
Let's take a few questions from the audience. Yeah, please.
Bobby was so cool because Bobby would literally do anything. Like, I remember there was this one day, it was so cold outside. This movie is so cold. I mean, half the movie I'm just thinking about the temperatures of the movie and how cold it was. But Bobby would get into these positions where you wouldn't know the camera was there, and he'd be like this, he'd be like, yeah, man, I'm all set, let's go. And I just think that was really impressive. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Okay, we'll take a few from the audience, and I'll repeat the question. Sure, go ahead. Can you talk about your creative decisions with the ending?
Well, I mean, it's really fucking tragic, but that's how it goes a lot, it seems. I mean, I know people who've been in it. Just, you got to do as much research as you can to make sure you pay as much respect. I don't actually, I've not done that, so I want to, as a filmmaker, do my very best to make sure that, I'm as honest as I can be. So in the research, and again, speaking with my father and some of his patients I've met over the years for different reasons, and they're just so generous with their time, and I was able to ask a lot of questions, and Amy and I were able to speak to some people, and very tragically, it just seems that it's true. And I think if you're gonna come out and make something like this, I'm aware it's hard to watch. Somebody in the press row just downstairs hadn't seen it yet, but he's like, I understand it's a dark film, and it's like, yeah, mate, I suppose. I don't know. Like, I don't know that it's fair to try and make a film like this and make it a bit easy or something. Like, there's parallels. Like, we shot that last moment between Henry and Anne exactly the way we shoot Henry with his mother when she says, it's okay, doctor, give me the patch. And there's a lot of parallels formally and just, between Emmy's character and Neve's character. And I think that, when you learn what you learn about fake OxyContin, which is that you can die off a half of it and you can get more high than you've ever been. I don't know what happens after the lighter goes. Like, I don't know. To be honest, I don't mean this rude, but I don't really think it's my job to know. I think one of the nice things I love in film is for people to leave spaces for me to make some decisions and keep it interactive. But I do feel like the danger in Henry's life is being addicted to caretaking and not, for him, I don't know that it's a story of opiates as much as like what happens with his mom leads him to be willing to do anything for this lady. And so here he's in this situation. I hope that answered it.
Questions? Yeah, go ahead. Can you talk about why you chose 2012 as the point of reference here?
Yeah, in 2012, when the fucking genocidal people at Purdue Pharma took OxyContin off the market, not for any reason other than patents, that was a moment in time where there was a surfeit of fake OxyContin hitting the streets, especially in smaller towns. So they existed already, but it created a panic in the streets. Like Kier's character actually says to Emmy's character at some point, like, there's a panic out there. And what happened was all of a sudden you couldn't get any prescription OxyContin. For the longest time, when it wasn't getting regulated in any way, it was just literally like raining OxyContin. You could just, like, literally what she says in the film is true. unfortunately, especially when doctors knew less, they were giving you just like 100 pills because you had a surgery of some kind. And so a lot of people got addicted really quickly, and then all of a sudden there was just nothing. Nobody could get anything. And that's when the Hells Angels, amongst other people, organized and brought fake Oxy into all cities, but mostly small towns. And that whole thing of the white panel van, it's actually something they do. They rent white panel vans, they line it with cardboard, and then they pick up like, you know, local drug dealers. They beat the shit out of them, and they either kick them out of town and take over their turf, or they incorporate them into their hierarchy. So it was a juncture that like things got a lot worse.
We have time for one last question. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, can you talk about can you talk about the structure of the shooting? Was it done chronologically?
Well, so that scene with the taser, when we're all screaming at each other and I'm crying, so I literally got off a plane, got to set, and then we shot that scene. So and it was literally like I didn't eat for like 2 days, like at all, and then I got to set. I was like, all right, let's do this, and we like got to set and did that crazy scene. So that kind of like dropped us in the middle of the movie, and so then I feel like from there on out, I felt like we were invincible. Like we would go from smiling, happy, scene with my mom, then to, you know, killing her with a patch. So it was kind of all over the place in a kind of a fun way.
We ended up kind of filming it chronologically in the sense of the set, right? Like we do room to room to room. So you'd sort of be in one stinky room for 1 week, and then you'd get out into another stinky room, and then you wouldn't want to go near the previous stinky car room. And yeah, it was sort of...
You guys have a good time shooting stuff?
Such a good time.
Stinky good time. Stinky.
Yeah.
On behalf of the festival and Toronto, Joey, thanks so much for bringing this film here. Everybody, the cast of Castle on the Ground, please vote for the film when you leave the cinema. Have a great evening.